We are now. Welcome back, everyone.
I don't know if we're live or not.
Should be. Can you hear me, Keekers? I don't know if Keekers can hear me. Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you fine.
I can hear you as well, sir.
Okay, then we are live. Just making sure everyone's aware. Today, we will be doing our second game of Interstitial. Oh, Keekers, you've disappeared from Roll20.
I have?
Yes. Now you're back.
That's weird because I did nothing.
Well, magic, I guess. What can we say? All
I
right.
am the magic boy today.
We are going to play a Magic Boy today, and we will talk about that very shortly. Today's game of Interstitial is called Interstitial Mainframe, for reasons which will become apparent shortly. I'll be running a romp through various video game realities for our two players today. And today, the two players by whom I am joined are Keekers. Please introduce yourself with your pronouns and the character you're playing and the playbook.
Hi everyone, I am Keekers, also known as Be a Space Cat. I am she/her, and I am playing Vivi, and the last name pronunciation is up for debate, but I'm gonna go with Ornithir because that's the way it looks phonetically.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Okay.
He's from Final Fantasy. He's a black mage from Final Fantasy IX. Sorry,
He
I should
certainly
add that.
is. And sorry, you said you were playing the playbook of the Displaced?
Yes, I am
Okay.
going with the playbook. Yes, that playbook.
All right, very good. And I'm joined by OG Brown Sugar.
Hi everyone, I'm Velvet. You can find me on the interwebs at OG Brown Sugar. Happy to be back here for the second round. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be playing Franziska von Karma, ace prosecutor with the Prodigy playbook.
All right. And I'm Matt Arp. My pronouns are he, him, and I will be running the game. And today's adventure, as mentioned, is called Interstitial Mainframe. And you two characters, so in this case, Vivi and Franziska, will have been stuck together for about a couple of weeks objective time. And you've been stuck together ever since each of you, in your respective games, suffered a glitch.
Ooh.
So, let's see. At what point in the timeline of Final Fantasy IX was Vivi plucked from his reality?
Well, I want to argue that this is kind of post FF9, but also we're in the alternate canon and where he does not die at the end of the game because that's the worst thing ever.
Okay. So
Sorry.
you want a post-game Vivi.
Yes, but he's not dead.
Okay. So in that case, I suppose during the credits, while you were looking up and watching all of these names mysteriously stroll across the sky, there was a sort of a staticky effect that went all across reality, and it happened once and then twice. And by the third time you looked around, you found yourself in only darkness, a void that was seemingly endless, and you floated there for some time. At what point was Franziska von Karma taken from her timeline, Velvet?
I think this is pretty early Franziska before she got humbled by Phoenix and Miles, so she's still a little bit insufferable. I think she was on her way to just burst into the courtroom and deliver her bombshell. And suddenly, when she opened the doors, she was not in the courtroom, but somewhere else.
Hmm. As you went through the door, you saw that similar static that we in the audience saw that Vivi experienced. And with a sudden burst of you stumbled through the door into, again, a void of darkness. It is impossible to tell how much time passed. How did Vivi deal with being in a void?
Um, I think he was confused at first and maybe like cried after a little bit,
Hmm.
but I think that he has, been strengthened enough by his friends that eventually he would just kind of come to accept it.
Okay.
Think about how brave Zidane was. People are going to yell at me about that pronunciation too. Sorry.
How did he try to get out?
I mean, he probably tried to like light it up, like use a fire spell to make it lighter,
Yeah?
but I
Okay.
don't know exactly how it would have reacted to that because I think that he would have done that to be able to assess how do I get out.
Okay. We'll come back to that in just a moment. How about Franziska? How does she deal with being in the void?
Francisca was not a fan, and given the rather imperious type of person that she chose a direction and just kept walking, whipping the ground, announcing her credentials, waiting for the universe to just open.
Right. Okay. So, eventually, there is a flash of light that Franziska sees. And does Franziska head towards that light?
Yes.
Okay. Vivi, you have cast this spell that created light, and you hear, after some time, footsteps, even though there's nothing actually to see. The light illuminates an orb around you and then just seems to be sucked into darkness. But eventually, somebody comes into your line of sight. And Velvet, what does Vivi see as you approach the light? What does
Franz-
Franziska look like? Sorry.
Francisca's a tall due to her heels, and I guess pretty slenderly built woman. She has on some very puffy shoulders to denote her importance. She's got short silver hair, and of course carries her whip.
Okay. Is this like a long whip, like a bullwhip kind of thing, or is it like a horse crop?
Some it's long enough to crack, but it's nothing crazy.
Okay. So it is a legit whip. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And Franziska, as you enter the light, Vivi, why don't you describe to us what Franziska sees?
Uh, Vivi is a pretty short uh child. He appears to be about 9 years old. Um, I'm not exactly sure about how tall one would say he is because of the oh here we go. He's 121 centimeters tall, and I don't know how tall that is in feet.
He's not very tall.
No, not tall. We'll just say that. We can check that out in a
He's
second. But
about
anyway,
4 feet tall.
okay, he's 4 feet tall. Thank you, Arp. Thank you for your converting that. He's got this big hat though that makes him look taller, like this big floppy hat. Kind of a wizard's hat that is stitched in a few places. He's wearing like this blue coat, um, and white and aqua striped pants that look kind of too big for him. He's also wearing like these red kind of boots that look way too big for him. Um, and red gloves. And instead of a face, it's kind of like a black shadow with these shining yellow eyes peering out from under that hat.
Okay. I realize I've still got the live banner on. All right. Good. How do the two of you react to seeing each other?
Um, Vivi kind of is like, oh, ah! He wasn't expecting someone.
Francisca is confused as to why this odd child is here, but she will crack her whip to announce her presence, even though they already know she's there.
Okay. You crack your whip, and the edge of the whip enters this globe of light that is now surrounding the two of you, and the void tears at the tip of your whip inside the circle of light. And instead, you find yourselves tumbling out of the darkness and into a swirling purple and red environment. It is difficult to say exactly what it is, but the moment you fall into that purple and red environment, you start to feel pain, as if you were being burned all over your body. Let's take a moment to look at your playbooks here. So you've got the discarded and the prodigy, is that correct?
Yes.
Or, sorry, the displaced, rather.
Yeah.
As the displaced, let's see, your light score is 0, dark is +1, mastery is -1, and heart is +1. What 3 moves do you think you want to pick from the list there?
There are other worlds than these.
Okay.
You are already aware of the connections between worlds. Um, Memories of home. When you recall old memories to overcome a challenge, roll plus heart.
Okay.
And never leave home without it. You have a special item from your home, describe it, and take +1 ongoing for the basic move of your choice as long as you involve the item.
Okay. What is the item?
I wanted to go with Vivi's ultimate weapon, the Zeus mace.
Okay. What's that look like?
Oh, it is a long staff, kind of just a generic brownish looking, but at the top it's got these kind of curly cues, almost making it like a heavier top. It's kind of hard to describe. um,
Let's see if I can find a picture here.
yeah, I mean, there's a picture. It's just imagine a kind of wooden, like, I don't want to say walnut, but stick with these like three curly cues at the top, back to back.
Okay. Um,
Kind of an S, but with the
okay, I
curly
see it.
cue
I see
going
it.
in more. Yeah,
Yeah, it's an S with an extra curl on the top one. And
yeah.
there's 3 of them around this wooden staff, and on top of the staff there's a metal hoop, or metal like loop, such as could be attached
Not
to
too
a
big
hook.
though. Yeah, yeah. It's the ultimate weapon that he
Okay,
can acquire.
good to know. So that is the item that Vivi has. So please note down the abilities, the moves that you have.
Yes, I have it highlighted on my sheet.
Okay. And I think you may want to wait until we get to our first world to declare who your ally from another world is.
Yes.
And the Prodigy. What? So the Prodigy has -1 light and dark, +1 mastery, and +2 heart. What are the 3 moves that you have picked for the Prodigy?
I chose She Who Strikes First Wins. When you take the time to analyze a combat situation before it starts, you may ask the GM, what happens if I blank once?
Okay, once
I
ever.
also, yeah, once ever.
What are the other moves you picked?
If there's no door, then I'll make one. When the way forward is unclear, roll with mastery to open a new path forward. On 10
Okay,
plus, the opening is directly advantageous. On 7 to 9, it'll get you there with time. And on a miss, it will make a path, but also cause something terrible to happen.
great move. I love it. And what's your last one?
The last one, very accurately, is I will judge you myself when using strike with intent against someone that stands against your ideals. Roll with light and take +1 forward on your next move if the strike is a success.
Perfect.
That
Okay.
is made for her.
So you have fallen into this swirling purple and red environment, and you can see, assuming that you are in any state to notice what's happening around you with the burning pain, there is not too far away from you a type of bubble that is blue and white and looks like it's made out of netting. And the bubble pauses in what looks like a hasty progress through this environment, and then it comes over closer towards you. And as you are beginning to feel yourselves on your last breaths, a circle opens in the side of the bubble, and a man with blue skin and black hair reaches out to grab your arms and pull you inside. And just before you pass out, you notice that you appear to be on a pirate ship. And then the both of you are out for an indeterminate amount of time. Who do you think comes to first?
I would guess maybe Francisca.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, Franziska, as you come to, you see that you are in a bed of some sort. It's very hard. Like, it feels almost like you're just lying on a block, but it's there. Everything around you looks like it's made of very cheaply rendered, not cheaply rendered, but very primitively rendered wood and metal. Like, it's like the graphics have been turned way down. Um, you see there's another bed in the same room as you that has Vivi on it.
When you're talking about how the graphics are rendered, I'm wondering, like, what era are we talking?
We're talking about late 90s CGI.
Ooh.
I will march over to the bed and crack the whip on the floor to wake the strange child.
Blah! He says as he wakes up with a start. Oh, it's you.
My name is Francisca von Karma. And you seem to have some insight in how we ended up here, given that you can do weird light things. So where are we?
Nice to meet you, Miss Von Karma. I'm Vivi. He's kind of looking around. I don't know what happened. I mean, I was just kind of making some fire to see with, but um it looks like we're on a ship.
You are indeed. There is a knock at the door.
Come in.
All right, the door opens, and standing in the doorway, you see a sphere. The sphere has arms and legs. There is a little bit of hair on top of the sphere, and a pair of eyes that look like they've been drawn on, and in front of the eyes, a pair of those half-moon glasses that perch just below your eyes. Strangely enough, the sphere has been textured to be appearing to wear a blue vest with brown stripes on the two left and right sides of the sphere, where the arms come out, and some type of green pant that covers the bottom half of the sphere and the legs leading down into brown boots. There's a symbol on the left side of the vest that is a black and white symbol that's a circle. Then inside the circle, which is bisected in black and white, are a pair of triangles, or a diamond shape, I should say, that is black and white in opposite colors to the circle. And this sphere person talks to you and says, "Oh, hello, you're finally awake."
Yes, thank you.
It's very lucky that that our guest brought you on board. We were going to just continue on our passage, but he insisted. I am Mr. Christopher, the first mate aboard here, this ship. Who are the two of you?
My name is Phoebe Orniter. Nice to meet you, Mr. Christopher.
A pleasure, a pleasure. He's holding a clipboard and he keeps glancing down at it and then back up.
Francisca's reflex is like coiling the whip around her arm to just hold it taut in front of her. I am Francisca von Karma, ace prosecutor. Where is the ship heading and where are we?
Oh, well, to have more information on that, I suppose you should come outside and meet the captain. He's been quite curious, but he's also a very busy man. He'll be able to give you more information about that if you'll follow me. And he turns and sort of waddles back outside.
Sorry if there's dog noises. I can't help it. I guess we might as well follow him. And Vivi gets up off the bed and waddles after Mr. Christopher.
Outside, the main deck of this ship is pretty barren. The flooring looks like a bunch of panels with crudely drawn circuitry on it in just flat beige. And there's more of that low poly wood around the sides, and a tall mast with gold and yellow hoops around it leading up to some white flat sails that look like they may not even have any textures on them. And standing in the midst of this, shouting orders at a variety of people who are either spheres or collections of 2 to 3 cubes with eyes on them, is the captain, who you can obviously tell because he's wearing an extremely large pirate captain's hat in bright red, lined with gold. This person there's sort of a skull and crossbones on the front of the hat in gold with green eyes. He has one eye in the middle of the top cube of his body. He's made up of 3 cubes stacked up. The middle cube has a mouth and a ridiculous mustache in red hairish bands that stick out to each side, and a little goatee at the bottom below his mouth. And the bottom cube, along with the sleeves coming out of the middle cube, are in a red and gold silk, it looks like. One of his legs appears to be very similar to Mr. Phillips. The other one is some type of white plastic peg leg. And naturally, the opposite hand is a hook. And he's bellowing, "Ah! You need to make sure that you're catching those winds faster. It won't be able to hold the shields much longer before we get to the next system. And we, the ship and crew of the Crimson Binome, must make sure that we reach our destination safely, so that we may continue our plunder." His head swivels around as he sees you emerge. "Ah! The sleeping guests awaken. I am the Crimson Binome, but you may call me Captain Capacitor. Welcome aboard the Saucy Mare."
Thank you for dropping that because I had no idea who these people were.
I have put a picture of them in our group chat there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh my.
This is definitely a game I never even heard of growing up.
This is not a game.
Oh, it's that TV show with the green kid.
So, how do the two of you respond to this situation in which you find yourselves? You are both considerably taller than either Mr. Christopher. Well, Vivi, you're a little bit taller than Captain Capacitor, but you're both certainly taller than Mr. Christopher.
Every single thing that the captain just said just makes Francisca narrow her eyes more and purse her lips.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Vivi's used to really weird looking people, so this is a little bit par for the course. He comes from a world with rat people, hippo people,
Whatever Queena is.
yeah, the Qs or whatever the heck they are. So par for the course, par for the course. But he's just like, thank you so much for saving us, Mr. Crimson. Um,
Captain Capacitor.
oh, sorry, Captain Capacitor. Um, I'm Vivi Ornit Ornitier.
I'm just going to call you Vivi.
Okay. Um, I don't exactly know how we got here or the weird place we were in before.
I couldn't say, but you found yourselves on the internet. We're currently traveling between systems. It's a very dangerous place to be floating around unprotected. You're liable to get burnt to a crisp, vaporized completely, scattered to your component ones and zeros.
Oh, that. Uh. Okay. I don't know what the internet is. Sorry.
You be a strange one, he says. He turns to Franziska. Perhaps ye have a little bit more knowledge of how the world works.
I used the internet for daily tasks. I had no idea there was this sort of little game world in it. Do you know how to get out?
Well, we'll be arriving at another system soon. But you say you're from outside the net?
Yes, I'm from the real world.
Well, it's all the real world. Outside the net. And he turns to Mr. Christopher and they're conferring. You can overhear a couple of words like the user, the game baby, a sprite. It's hard to say. They turn back. Well, whoever you be, you're welcome aboard the Saucy Mare, at least until we make System Fall in our next destination. You might want to be meeting the person what rescued ye. I wouldn't have done it, but our lad Matrix certainly did. He gestures to the upper deck of the ship behind you. Don't get you in any trouble. My crew's keeping an eye on you. We might need your help. Later on, everybody should be pulling their weight aboard the Saucy Mare. But for now, you've got time to relax and get to know your savior.
Thank you very much.
Oh, don't thank me. Up at the top of the stairs leading up to the upper deck, you see the person that you noticed, that you saw just before you passed out. He's tall. He's probably over 6 feet. His skin is like a teal, turquoise kind of thing. He's wearing a black leather vest. He looks very gritty. One of his eyes is gold and obviously fake under a scar. He's got black hair combed down over his face and a beard. His pants are bright blue with a red stripe down the side, and he has a large gun on his hip and a pair of black boots. On his wrist, obviously he's wearing fingerless gloves, of course, and leather bands across both his bicep and his forearm. And on his right arm, there's some type of damaged mechanical device that you don't recognize. Next to him is a woman who's about a head shorter than him. She's got skin the color of a peach and bright blue hair with a starfish on one side. She's wearing a silver yoke style necklace, some type of bikini top that looks like fish fins, and form-fitting dark green pants. She's also got bicep bands because it's the 90s. Her boots are silvery blue and also have fish fins along the side.
Are they wearing knee and elbow pads with spikes coming out of them?
Not these ones, no.
Okay, I finally found all of these character pictures.
Well, I'll just send them to you as well.
I will crack my whip to announce my presence per usual.
The man briefly reaches for his gun. You see his hand twitches, and then he lets it drop away from his hip. And he says, "Ah, so you're the two that I rescued. What were you doing floating out there in the net?"
I don't know. I was kind of like on where I'm from, Gaia, and then everything kind of fizzed, and then I was in the darkness for a
Interesting.
while. I'm Vivi Orniter. Nice to meet you. And he does a little bow, and he'll be quiet for a second while I take care of this dog for a second.
He says, "I'm Matrix." And he looks over at Franziska. "What's with the whip?"
This is my whip. I always have my whip. I am Franziska von Karma, and I don't seem to be from the net. I'm from the real world. I just ended up here somehow. The how is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is getting me back to my very important case.
"Oh, okay. So you're lost, like us. I getcha." He nods. He pats the ridiculous 90s gun at his hip and says, "I understand about the whip. Gun comes with me everywhere, too." He turns and gestures at the woman with the orangish skin and says, "This is Andrea." And she says, "Hi, pleased to meet you. I'm Andrea." She comes over and kneels down in front of Vivi and sort of looks carefully into his large yellow eyes. And then she's starting to do an inspection of Franziska as well. She's not touching you, just looking closely. She's going, I see.
See what?
You're game sprites, like me. You've fallen out of your game, and now you're here, lost, in the net.
What do you mean game? I'm from the real world, not a game.
She smiles. I understand. I felt the same way once when I first met Matrix. He's not like the three of us, though. He's a little bit different. But either way, we're all lost together, and hopefully we can all get home together, too.
Oh, okay. I'm back. What did I miss?
Andrea has informed you that you are both game sprites, that you've fallen out of your games and gotten lost on the net.
Okay. Vivi looks visibly flummoxed.
Matrix grumbles and makes his way forward. He reaches into one of his pouches and pulls out a photograph. On the photograph, there is a picture of a circle that has been divided into 6 sections, each one a slightly different color. Looking more closely, you can see that it kind of looks like a city, where each of the sectors is either filled with buildings or parkland or farmland or something along those lines. And he takes a breath and he starts to monologue. I live in the games. I search through systems, peoples, and cities for this place. Mainframe, my home. He looks up and into the distance for a moment. His golden eye twitches slightly, and he says, "My format? I have no format. I am a renegade, lost on the net. Now, I'm lost just like you. Have you seen my home?"
No.
He
Evie
looks.
is still visibly flummoxed and is just like, I don't know where you live.
He, he shoves the picture at you again that he's been showing you. This mainframe, this city, this system.
I'm sorry, Mr. Matrix. I've never seen that before.
It's just Matrix. Mr. Matrix was my father. He stands up, sighs, and puts the picture away. All right. We're heading to a new system. We're trying to find one that has safe access to the net so that I can get back home. Andrea needs to get back to her game, and it sounds like the two of you need to get back to your... He pauses, and then, with a slight quirk of his lip, says, "Homes, too. I think we'll need to work together."
Vivi nods in agreement. And people who know Final Fantasy IX can hear the soft sounds of the song "The Place I'll Return to Someday" playing in the background.
Aw. So I think you spend some time on this ship getting to know the crew of the Saucy Mare and getting to know Matrix and Andrea better. They have a dog. It's a large red and yellow dog named Frisket. Frisket can be scary, but is in general very nice if you're nice to him, and particularly if you're nice to Matrix. He tells you about his past. He grew up in a system called Mainframe. He's in Mainframe, there's a person who lives outside the internet called a user. And what the user does is they put games into the system. And sometimes the people who live in the system, sprites, get trapped in the games and have to act as characters or enemies and play against the user. And it seems like at some point, he doesn't really want to talk in detail about this. He got stuck in a game when the system was collapsing. And he and Andrea have been hopping through from game to game through the net ever since, trying to find a way back home. And that seems to be what they're expecting you to do with them as well, so that hopefully all of you can get to a system together that will take you back to where you need to be.
I think Vivi relates the different menu screens that he can remember with equipping and unequipping and items and such as being like, oh, I never thought about that before. But is that something to do with a game?
It says sometimes, not always. All games are different. Some are fun and cute, others are... His hand drifts towards the scar over his eye and the false eye in there. Not. So a core mechanic in this game is forming links with other characters that you meet along the way. At the beginning of the game, all of the player characters should choose a link that they have with each other. There are 4 types of link. Light links are friendships and loves. These links are generally positive. Dark links are for rivals. They're generally born out of negative emotions or rivalry. Mastery links are for teachers, students, mentors, or apprentices. These links can be positive or negative, but for a mastery link to exist, it means that you're learning from one another. One person is learning from the other, or you are teaching the other something that they want to learn or need to learn. The final type of link is heart. Heart links are for people whose actions or attitudes lead you to learning more about yourself. So characters who cause you to introspect, to think more about who you are, can have heart links with you. So over the time you spend on this ship together, what type of links do you think you form with each other?
I was thinking that Vivi would form either a heart link from learning from Francesca, or, well, I don't know. Would Endgame Vivi need to learn from her? I actually no, just heart link then. Like a,
So a heart link would be,
I misspoken.
yeah, a heart link would
Yeah,
be you. There's something about how Franziska acts or behaves that makes you learn new things about yourself.
yeah, no. I'm not gonna go with that. I would say light link. That was the one I meant.
So you feel friendship towards Franziska.
Yeah, she has different things about her that remind him of his friends back home.
Okay.
Like the kind of single-minded uh sense of duty really reminds him of oh gosh. Don't kill me for not remembering her name. The Lady Knight.
Um, is it Beatrix? Beatrice?
Yeah, Beatrix. Yeah, thank
No, wait,
you.
that's the queen, isn't that? Who's the?
No, no, the queen is
Yeah, it's
oh
Beatrix
gosh, for
is the
some
one we're
reason.
thinking about. She's the Lady
Yeah,
Knight,
yeah.
the best character in the game. Yes.
Uh, one of the best characters in the game. May I remind you, Vivi is best.
You know, it's all
Be-
opinion.
best boy.
Yeah, Vivi is certainly best boy, that's for sure. Okay, so write down under your links there, Franziska von Karma, and then light. Franziska, your links, as you know from yesterday, don't have to be reciprocal. You may feel differently about Vivi than Vivi feels about you. What type of link do you feel with Vivi?
I would say it's a mastery. Like Francisca, up to the point where she disappeared, had not yet been humbled, so she still thinks that she knows, and she sees Vivi as this strange child. So
Mm-hmm.
I think she's going to take charge and try to, so that he does not grow up to be a foolishly foolish fool doing foolishly foolish things.
Okay. So probably, regardless of how many times Vivi explains that he's not a child, it's difficult to see him as otherwise.
I mean, he technically does he think he's a child? I think that
By the end of
he
the
kind
game,
of. I
I don't know.
mean, that's up to debate.
Okay. So what's all right, so write down the link that you feel with Vivi under there. I want to make like one text box. There we go. Okay, there we are. So you formed links with each other. Now, do you want to try and form links with any of the characters you've met aboard the Saucy Mare? When you want to form a link with a new character you meet, and you should form links with almost every character you meet because you spend links to do various things, you have to roll for it.
Hmm.
So far the characters you've met are um, Captain Capacitor, the Crimson Binome, as he's known. You have met Andrea and Enzo, and also aboard the ship you've met Mr. Christopher and Frisket, Enzo, or Matrix's dog.
Can I create a bond with the dog?
You can absolutely create a bond with the dog. You can create a bond with every single one of them if you wish. Just depends what type of relationships you feel you've forged in your time knowing them.
I think that Vivi will have formed like a mass. Well, it's not mastery because he's not the master.
You could be the student as well. Mastery is
the student.
mastery is either you're a teacher or you're a student, basically.
To Matrix.
Okay.
And then light link with the dog.
Frisket.
Let me try to figure this. Frisket.
Yeah. So to roll for a link, you roll /2d6 plus your score in that link area. So to form a mastery link, you roll /2d6 or /roll 2d6 plus your mastery score, which for the displaced is -1. So /roll 2d6 -1. And for a light link, you just roll 2d6. While you're rolling those, and then I'll let you know how those turn out. How about Francisca? Any links you'd like to form?
Yes, I'm gonna try to form a mastery link with Trix and Andrea.
Okay.
And a dark link with the captain, because he's a pirate and straight up told us he would leave us to die.
He sure did. Okay, so you formed a you without any issue, and you might want to keep all of your things in one text box, Keeker, so that we're not struggling to. Oh no.
I know. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. It's confusing.
You double click on the existing text box, and then you can edit it.
Okay.
Okay, so sorry. You have formed a mastery bond with Matrix, no problem with that roll. Rolled 2 6s, even with a -1, that's still a full success. And Francisca, do you want to? You can all be rolling your bonds as you go, and then we'll just go over them, and I'll tell you how they go. Okay. Was that for your bond with Matrix, Velvet?
Yeah, that's for Matrix.
Okay, and you rolled a 6 there. What type of bond were you hoping to form with Matrix?
A mastery one.
Okay. Okay. I think you do form a link with Matrix, but the link that you form with him is a light link. You find that as you are attempting to learn things from him, as it turns out, he doesn't actually know that much more than you. He seems like his growth has been pretty stunted, and you're pretty young. So you both have your areas of expertise. His seems to be shooting things and being gritty. You are, a law professional, ace prosecutor. And as you learn these things about each other, you instead find that you have a sort of a friendly link between you, rather than any link of mutual learning or mastery.
Okay, I'm completely baffled by this because I try
Okay,
clicking, double click.
Let me just fix that there. All right, so go to the arrow button up at the top and click that tool, and then double click on where you put Franziska von Karma light link. And that should reopen that text box for you.
Now it works.
Yeah, because you have to be using the selector tool for that. If you're still on the text tool, it will just keep making new text boxes. It's not very intuitive.
Yeah, that was the problem. I didn't know how the heck to do.
Yeah, we got it now. Okay, and your second roll there was for what?
That was for a mastery link with Andrea.
Okay. So you form a mastery link for Andrea. She is a lot more competent in more areas of life than Matrix is. Her main issue is that she's kind of naive about how, I guess, a lot of things in the world work, but she's very competent when it comes to understanding how games work and surviving in games and the net. And she's nice. So those are all things you could, I don't know, maybe learn from her.
Francisca is the nicest. I don't know what you're talking about.
And unfortunately, you failed your roll to make a dark link with Captain Capacitor. I think instead, as you get to know Captain Capacitor and see him grumbling about, um, you notice that even though he says angry things and mean things all the time, he's always actually doing nice stuff for the people on his crew. He's always working, looking out for them and taking care of them. And I think that leads you to form a heart link with Captain Capacitor, as it's helping you to look into in yourself how you judge people and when. Not that it's changing that, just making you think about it.
Solid.
I just rolled for the dog link and I got a 6, which means you pick what happens.
Okay. What was the link you were trying to form with Frisket?
Light.
Light. Okay. I think what happens here is that Frisket doesn't like how much time you're spending with Matrix. And so Frisket gets a little bit jealous, and you instead form a dark link with Frisket. He's not your biggest fan. He growls at you when you walk by and sort of shuns your presence because he wants to spend more time with Matrix, and Matrix is spending that time with you.
Trying to figure this out.
You just type in dark.
No, I did. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out who to make the next link with.
Okay.
Because I kind of want to say Mr. Christopher, which has nothing to do with computers.
All right, I think on your failed link, because when there's a failed link, I also have to either make a hard move or give someone else a link. So for the failed links that we've had so far, which is 3 of them. So Franziska, you failed to make the link you were hoping to with Captain Capacitor. And in that time, Vivi, I think you have formed a link with Captain Capacitor as well. That is a light link. A friendship with Captain Capacitor. Because Captain Capacitor would definitely remind you of the blustery adventurers with a heart of gold that you know so well from your experience as an adventurer in an adventuring party.
So it was a heart link?
That's a light link with Captain Capacitor. And unfortunately, I'm going to make a hard move. Something bad's going to happen on the way to the system. What happens here is that the ship runs into a spot of trouble. Now, as Captain Capacitor mentioned, the two of you have been put to work, helping tend lines and make sure the sails are up, and especially making sure that the shields are at full. And they've explained that the shields need to be at full because there are creatures that live out in the web there, and they're not good. In fact, they're dangerous. And if the shields fall, not only will there be those, that danger that you have being exposed to the raw web itself, but there is also the creatures. And while one of you is tending to the shield, you make a mistake. And when you make that mistake, suddenly there is a tattered hole that appears in the web, and the deck starts to scorch under the attention of the raw web, and then through that hole tumbles a pair of creatures. They look like evil squids? I don't know. Have you seen The Matrix?
Heck yeah.
I haven't.
They look a lot like the Sentinels. All right, let me grab you a picture.
I'm just imagining what I imagine the space squids look like.
They are kind of like space squids. All right, I'll pop a picture in here for you. But they are like digital squids. They've got horrifying... They look like they have teeth for a face, and then they're
No, no,
many
no.
gross tentacles splayed out behind them. So those are the
Okay.
web creatures. Two of them plunk down onto the deck, and they immediately start lashing around, slapping at the binomes. And Captain Capacitor rushes out onto the deck and starts bellowing at people. Someone shoves you out of the way of where you were tending to the shield to try and fix that. But the two web creatures are here on the ship, making things miserable for everyone else.
Okay. So I am going to Vivi gets into position with his staff and he starts doing that idle animation from the game, and I am going to strike with intent onto the squid, the terrifying, horrible squid.
Okay. When you strike with intent, when you move to cause harm against another, roll with dark.
Yes,
So
which
let's
is
give that a
plus
try.
one.
Okay. Are you rolling that?
Yeah, and I'm just taking a second because it's being stupid.
Okay, that's fair. Something you can do with your links is you can spend them. You can spend your links by declaring that you're going to spend a link, and you can use those to, if you use them beforehand, roll with advantage, which means you would roll 3d6 and drop the lowest.
Yes.
Um,
Well, I got a 5
you
because
did
I
get a
didn't
5.
use any of that because I was just going head on in Final Fantasy fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Um but can we please put in canon that because he missed, it said miss above the monster?
I think it does say miss above the monster, obviously. What was the spell you were casting?
Oh, I was doing fire.
Okay. So the fire splashes onto the deck next to the creature. Just the way in which you find fighting works in this world is different from how it works in yours. Like everything's moving around. Normally you're used to the world being pretty static in the middle of a fight. But things keep happening. It's very confusing and baffling for you. Like, they're supposed to stand there doing an animation while you charge up your spell, and then they'll attack you, and then you'll attack them, and that's how it works. But that's not
I
happening
know.
here. Everyone's just running around, so you've accidentally set the ship on fire. And you take harm as it lashes back at you with its tentacles. So take one harm. Just note down that you've taken one out of your 4 harm boxes. And
Yes.
the ship is on fire. And Matrix looks at you and looks at the fire and looks back at you. And he says, "Why would you cast a fire spell on a wooden ship?" He grabs his gun and he leaps towards the web creatures, trying to deal with them. Franziska.
Sorry, I just want to say that Vivi's eyes get somehow even bigger and brighter, and like this has never happened before.
Actions have consequences.
Hey, the consequence is that you miss or the damage gets taken. That's it.
Hmm. Yes, the world works differently out here. Is Franziska doing anything, or how does Franziska respond to the situation, which is somewhat outside of her usual everyday experience?
The squid monsters are definitely new, but as anyone who's played the Ace Attorney games knows, that Francisca is no stranger to whipping people in the face, so I think she will rely on that tried and true tactic.
Okay. Are you planning to strike with intent or to subdue?
Oh, with intent.
Okay. Well, roll your dark. Okay, that's a
Hey,
full success. So, when you strike with intent and you roll a 10 plus, deal harm and choose 2 options. Defend yourself from harm, deal great harm, or take control of the situation.
defend myself from harm because I don't know what these squid peeps can do, and then I will take control of the situation.
Okay. So you smack the one of the web creatures on the face with your whip, and I kind of want to say that your whip snares it. Did you have a different idea for how you take control?
No, that's accurate.
Okay. The whip snares it, so now you've got this web creature on essentially the end of a leash, jerking around and trying to kill you, but you are defending yourself from harm in this moment, and it's looking like it's not having a great time. Matrix is exchanging blows with the other one. His eye is glowing red, and his gun, he's pointed it, and it has shot out little, like, M-shaped decals that are landing on the squids, but he hasn't actually shot the gun yet. Okay, Captain Capacitor is continuing to bellow and trying to get people in order with these two creatures writhing around on the deck. Mr. What's his name? Mr. Christopher.
Christopher.
Mr. Christopher is cowering. The rest of the crew are dashing around, doing the best they can. Some of them have grabbed sabers or flintlock pistols. And the fire is raging. Vivi.
Oh gosh, he can't use water, or however you pronounce that. We'll just call it water too, because only Kraken can use that in FF9. So he's gonna do the regular water spell, but let me see what that would count as.
Probably cast magic.
Yeah, cast the magic. Which is
Mastery.
with my mastery, right? Okay, let me go back down there. I think I have negative mastery. But because Vivi is using his special staff, can we negate that and saying +1 ongoing?
Let's see here.
Since he is casting magics.
Yeah, you can use +1 ongoing for cast magic. Absolutely, it makes sense as a magic staff.
Does that cancel them out? So I'm just at regular 2d6 now?
Yeah.
Since it's, yeah.
Oh dear. Okay.
Oh.
All right.
You would think that Roll20 wouldn't have a grudge against me because we're playing a different game and I'm being the best boy, but
okay.
It apparently does not like me playing cinnamon rolls. It only wants me to play Meat Boys.
It only wants you to play Meat Boys. Yep. Should have played what's his face? The redheaded
Steiner?
meat boy.
Oh. Amarant.
That's the one.
Yeah. Oh, but I would have preferred be Steiner.
All right. So you go to cast the water spell, and the water spell appears in the air, and it drops a torrent of water onto everybody on the ship. It's a big water spell. Everyone is wet now. People start slipping and sliding around. It has not fully put out the fire. The fire has reduced, but it is still managing to burn on a number of exposed timbers, despite the fact that the ship is now fairly wet and everyone's slipping and sliding around.
Vivi pulls his hat over his headboard, is like, sorry.
The upside is that Andrea comes out from wherever she was stuck, and the spines on her arms and legs sort of flare out. And when the spines on her arm flare out into the shape of a large fin-shaped shield, and she's got a trident that expands into her hand, and she says, "Ah, water, excellent." And she starts commanding and controlling the water and using it to whip at the squids as well, and trying to put out the fire with it. How are things going with your squid on a leash, Francisca?
We're just currently dealing with 2 squids, correct?
Yes, but web creatures are extraordinarily dangerous.
Since it's thrashing about, I'd like to see if I can maybe redirect it back towards the hole so that with its thrashing, it maybe just like yeets itself back out.
Okay. It seems like it might be a strike to subdue. Or did you have a different idea for what you wanted to do with that move?
No, I think that works.
Okay. So a strike to subdue, you roll with mastery.
Ooh. And you know what? Since I am helping to save Captain Capacitor's ship, I think I will use his link to.
Yeah, to gain advantage on your roll. Okay. Unfortunately, that still nets you a 6.
Captain Capacitor has failed me.
On a miss, you take harm and the situation escalates. Okay. So your whip attached to the squid, you do get it over towards the shield, and you bash the squid into the shield, and it doesn't quite get to the hole where you were hoping to get it outside, but instead, everywhere that it touches the shield from the inside, more of the shield collapses. So the water on the deck starts to boil and forces steam into the air. So now it's hard to see. Also, there's fire. There are fewer shields, and both the squids are still here. Your whip retracts from the squid's body. Vivi, can you save us?
Sorry, that's me being me. Vivi, we keep on trying.
I think Andrea at this point is able to get the fire out, but now that there's no more liquid water around, she can't use that as a weapon. She's down to her trident, and she rushes over to help Matrix, where he is currently caught in the tentacles of one of the web creatures. She is shouting and trying to stab that web creature to death with her trident. Frisket's also there, biting its butt.
Oh, good. I guess I think I'm gonna do strike with intent again with the staff, and
Okay.
this time I'm gonna do some zappy.
Okay. So you're going to do like a lightning spell?
Yeah.
Are you electrocuting the water?
No, those squid.
The water has been turned to steam, so there's that.
Yeah. So
Everybody's skin is going to feel great after this, assuming you survive.
uh okay, so 2d6 plus 8. Yeah, 2d6 plus 2. Problem with using the caps lock button is that as your push to talk is that you keep on getting like, oh wait, I need to put this back down. Oh, thank
Okay.
goodness.
You rolled a 12. So that means you deal harm and you choose 2. Defend yourself from harm, deal great harm, or take control of the situation.
Vivi is going to protect himself from harm and deal great harm.
Okay. You zap the web creature with a great bolt of lightning, and before it can retaliate, it simply shrivels up and disintegrates into a series of large pixels, all of which float away and disappear into the sky. In the background, Matrix is getting slammed against the deck back and forth as Andrea and Frisket attempt to wrangle that web creature away from him.
No victory music yet.
No, the conflict is ongoing. Franziska, things got a little out of hand, or rather out of whip, for you. What do you want to do now?
So if there's no door, then I'll make one. Is that referring to like physical doors and entryways, or can I use that to find some way out of our current mess?
Um, when the way forward is unclear, roll with mastery to open a new path forward. Okay, so the current existing path forward appears to be defeat these web creatures. You can forge a new path if you roll well on that. Something will change that will allow you to progress in a different direction.
I think I will try that.
All right, let's see it.
No.
Okay. So, on a miss, you still make a path, but also cause something terrible to happen. So, I think you get the idea that you could maybe harness this creature to use as like a mount, maybe, or a way to pull the ship faster through the web. And with that idea in mind, go to like lasso it and try and lash it to the front of the ship. Unfortunately, as you are doing that, the squid is still battling with the other three, and they've finally gotten Enzo out of its coils and, sorry, Matrix out of its coils. He'd be very upset if you called him Enzo at this point in his story. So you pull the same trick as you did before. You lash your whip at the uh, web creature and you snare it, and you're like, haha, now I will, and then it just pulls you off the ship. Um, you are sort of pulled to the edge of the ship at the front of it as it is escaping through the many holes in the shield now, but your heels get stuck in the rail of the front of the ship. So right now, the terrible thing that's happening is you are the anchor between this fleeing web creature and an entire boat. I think you take a harm from that.
I am at 2 harm now.
But Matrix rushes over and grabs the handle, or grabs further up the whip, and Andrea grabs another part of the whip, and Frisket grabs the back of your. Does Francisca have a belt? No.
No.
Like pant suit.
Grabs the back of your vest thing, your dress, and not the dress, the outer part, the blue one that you're wearing.
Yeah.
Bustier, I don't know. Grabs that and is pulling back, and that reduces the strain that's on you. So you do only take the 1 harm still. But this web creature is now dragging the ship behind it. So you're going somewhere. It does not seem to be exactly where everyone was hoping to go. But they are getting the shields back online and trying to fix the sails that were damaged. And in the meantime, this web creature is your propulsion. Eventually, you are able to cut it free, and once it is cut free, that allows you to. The sails are fixed by then, so you do get to the new system. And at the system, Captain Capacitor seems not too sad to see you go. But he says, well, good luck to you in this system. And you head into the system with Matrix and Andrea and Frisket. And in the system, what you have to do there is basically wait until a game comes and then get into the game and hope that it's going to take you somewhere interesting once the game ends. So basically, you have to go into the game, survive the game that the user is playing, and then format yourself as a game sprite, which the two of you already are, so that it will take you with it when it leaves.
The hope is that it's a game with an active battle system.
Maybe it is. We'll see. Okay. I'm just going to put my desk down so I can sit down for a second.
You've been standing this whole. hope he hasn't.
I might be doing the standing desk live.
Yeah.
I've been alternating between sitting and standing, but
Okay.
all right. Which is being in one spot for a long time still doesn't feel great for the old back.
No. Though I
Okay.
have to say that I am improvement today. Instead of sitting on a bed, I am sitting in an actual chair.
Wow. Moving on up.
Blasphemy.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
It's not my chair, so
It's just a chair.
it is just a chair. Also, donators, if if you want to buy me something. No, I'm joking. Sorry, I'm laughing because I was on the wiki page or the Final Fantasy wiki page, and they're like, "Oh, here's some Vivi merch," and I'm like, "Oh, let me check." And then,
No, I'm joking.
what should happen? But any fans of Final Fantasy IX that want cool Final Fantasy IX, you can pre-order a wonderful action figure set of Vivi and Steiner for a whopping $180.
Good lord.
Yeah. Oh, but it looks so super cool.
All right. So you're in the system for a while, like a couple of days. You can each heal 1 harm. And eventually a game does arrive. So when a game loads into a system, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, that I was just gonna make a joke about that being our commercial break.
So when the game arrives, the sky goes black, and a large purple cube, large purple prism, that's like a rectangular prism, starts to descend from the sky. It's got white lightning patterns going all over it, and it is descending on like an entire sector of this system. And as it does, there's an announcement voice that says, "Warning, incoming game. Warning, incoming game." And you can hear the sort of screams as people start to flee that sector because nobody wants to be caught in a game. If you are caught in a game and the user wins, you get turned into a null, which is just a little slug thing.
Ooh.
Yes, indeed. It sucks. So, we'll think about that next time we're playing a video game.
Yeah.
Oh, those poor sprites. So Matrix and Andrea and Frisket and the two of you rush over towards the sector and have to fight your way through the fleeing people who don't want to be stuck there until you get directly under the game just before it lands on the ground. As it does, the game world starts to load around you. Something's beeping at me. I don't know what is beeping at me, but something is. Hang on a moment. Well, I can't find it. So the world of the game begins to resolve around you. And this game is very brightly colored. There are lots of greens, green grass, brown trees. There's some gigantic mushrooms with red and orange tops. The red ones have yellow spots on them, and the orange ones have red spots on them. Some smaller flowers sticking up incongruously on their own through the ground. And the music has this, nice 16-bit upbeat kind of thing going on. And as you look around, Matrix and Andrea and Frisket all say, "Okay." Well, Matrix says, "Okay, we've got to format ourselves so that we match the game." And Matrix reaches up and he double taps that symbol on his chest, which is on his shoulder armor. That's the black and white circle with the white and black diamond in the middle. He double taps that and says, "Reboot." And Andrea double taps a symbol on her belt and says, "Reboot." And then they just tap a symbol on Frisket's collar and say, "Reboot." And each one of them transforms into something that would fit into this game world. Matrix turns into he turns into a humanoid animal. This isn't too unusual for you to see, Vivi.
No.
But instead of being the 6 foot plus um, creature, 6 foot plus humanoid sprite that he was before with the black hair, he shrinks down to a much smaller size, and he now looks like a bipedal badger. Still blue, still the same teal color, but he's now looks like a badger who is wearing sort of a similar gear to what Matrix was wearing, but a badger. It's Matrix, but a badger is all I can really say. Andrea has turned into a seal.
Aw.
Likewise, she's shrunk down to the size of a much smaller creature, and has turned into a bipedal seal, like a harbor seal. With she's orange with white spots, and her trident has shrunk in size as well. Looks kind of like a toy trident now. Frisket does not change. He just stays a dog. So, when you reach up to tap the symbols that you're wearing and say reboot as well, what does Vivi turn into here in the world of Sonic and Knuckles?
He is a black cat.
Of course. Is he still wearing the big hat?
Oh yeah.
Good.
And the big boots too.
Yeah, gotta have big boots. Gotta big boots.
I am so happy.
Franziska, what happens when Franziska reboots?
I think Franziska becomes a white tiger.
A lot of feline influence here. Okay, so the 5 of you are now in the shape of Sonic characters. And looking around, Vivi, you recognize this world because somehow you have a connection here.
I do? No, sorry. His player has a connection.
As you have the move, there are worlds other than these, and I think this is the world you know. You have an ally here in the world of Sonic and Knuckles. Who is your ally here?
Tails!
Tails. Okay. So make a locked mastery link with Tails.
Because they're both like the sidekick of the happy-go-lucky male protagonist.
Of course.
The younger brother type character.
Okay. So you recognize this world. You know this is where Tails lives. And you've got your locked mastery link, so when they need your help, you get +1 to helping them. So you are on an island. You're in some type of forest here. It is quite lovely. The issue is that it seems like someone here is really bad at cleaning up. There's a lot of litter going on because there's these gold rings just lying all over the ground, floating there. It's weird. Everything seems like it's a very linear path to move forward or backwards. It doesn't look like there's much of anywhere that you could go left or right. You can just sort of go forward or back if you want. What's happening at the moment is nearby. It seems that there's some type of big battle going on. But you can't see it. You can more feel it underneath your feet. There's like a series of explosions and vibrating back and forth. And up in the sky, you see a biplane. And on that biplane is Tails.
Yay!
So Tails is circling around the area. He seems to be looking for somewhere to get in or something that he's trying to do, but you can feel those vibrations and tremors from beneath your feet as well. There's a battle happening underground.
Oh, do we hear like any sort of music that would clue us into if it's Knuckles cutscene thing or Eggman, or is that something I should roll?
If you want to do a deep dive, you're welcome to.
Okay, and to deep dive, I rolled with heart. Okay. Just moving through the pages. Oh,
Channel your inner Greg Louganis and deep dive.
yeah. Is it deep dive if it's heart? Correct. Pretty sure.
Let me check basic moves. It's the first one. Roll with heart.
You gotta have a heart to dive because the sea is spooky.
Deep dive is a wonderful reference to Kingdom Hearts that I appreciate. I only got a 7.
Okay. So with a 7, ask one of the questions from the deep dive list.
Let me get back to that.
So on page 5.
I appreciate the shorter rule books like this because it's easier for me to move back and forth. What is the biggest threat here?
Funny you should ask. When you look up, you see that there's a huge globe floating in the sky. It's a huge, like, gray orb that is, well, I guess it's not really. Is it floating?
It has a face on it.
It does have a face on it, yes. There's a face on the part of this orb that's facing towards you. It's got 2 circles that might be sunglasses, a mustache, some hair that's sticking out of the mustache that becomes pointy out to the side. There's a nose, a big pyramid nose, and like a mouth underneath the mustache. It looks like the Death Star, but with Dr. Robotnik's face on it. This is the Death Egg.
Sorry.
It is a big threat because it is disgorging a bunch of robots from it, and you can see that Tails is sort of dogfighting and flying around some of these robots, trying to escape them. Badniks, I guess, are the names of the robots.
Yes, that is the name.
So yes, that's the biggest threat here. The thing happening beneath your feet might be an issue as well, but few things are more terrifying than a giant orb fortress with someone's face on it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, sorry, a random tangent here. Just they use this twice. Like there's the Death Egg and then there's Space Colony Arc. And then like I guess you could also count Little Planet from Sonic CD. So there are like a lot of weird things up there in the Sonic world and it just
Well, he rebuilds the Death Egg like 3 times too.
Yeah, I guess technically.
If you strike down the Death Egg, it will be hard boiled to an even deadlier temperature.
But nostalgia wise, I think the Egg Carrier is my favorite. Sorry.
Well, we're in Sonic and Knuckles right now.
That's years away. So anyway, what do we do?
There's another set of like booms and booms from below you, and Matrix starts digging to see if he can figure out what's going on down there. He says, "Give me a hand. I want to know what's going on down here." He digs with his badger paws.
Yeah, I mean, not every character can dig. It's like
he disappears into the hole that he's digging and says, "Never mind, I got it."
I don't think we can actually. Oh gosh, sorry, that was turning into CD there for a second.
All right, so above you can still see Tails avoiding these flying badniks. There's now a hole in the ground. You can hear the sounds more clearly from down there. You might recognize the sounds of Sonic making quip after quip as he's in some type of battle. I don't know if you would know Knuckles.
I mean, probably not. I mean, I don't know how. I'm trying to figure out how Vivi knows them.
Maybe
Like,
Vivi read a book about it.
there we go. We can obviously say that. That should work.
There was some type of magic book, and the magic book had buttons on it. You could use the magic book to make Sonic move around.
I was hoping that.
You were hoping that?
Spin-off game of Final Fantasy characters.
Matrix pops his head back up from the hole in the ground and says, I think someone down here needs our help.
Vivi the black cat nods and be like, aye aye, sir.
Down below, you see that Sonic and Knuckles are both down here, and they have just finished having a fight, and they are shaking hands at the time. And Sonic looks up to see a bunch of people come from a hole, and he gets into his, ready to run pose, and he says, "Oh, what now?" Knuckles says, "Oh, whatever it is, we can face it together."
He's not gonna say long time no see. Sorry.
So what do the two of you say to these two creatures?
Hi, I'm Vivi. We're looking for something, but I'm not exactly sure what. What are we looking for, Matrix? And he kind of looks at
Matrix says,
Matrix.
we just need to survive this game and then go with it when it leaves. If that means helping these two, then I'm all for it.
There's a big egg thing in the sky. Is that yours?
Ah, the Death Egg, says Sonic. I need to get there and shut it down from the inside. But I've been stuck in this underground passage.
Well, we have some great news because Matrix just dug a hole out.
That's great.
Leave through that way.
You didn't happen to find any Chaos Emeralds up there, did you?
Vivi shakes his head no. He has no idea what. Well, I guess he kind of knows what Chaos Emeralds are. He did not see one.
Okay. Sonic goes on to show you that he has...
Sorry, Mr. Hedgehog. We didn't...
That's okay. You didn't... That's okay. I've already got most of them, and I think Knuckles has a few more. There's just one or two left. Maybe we can find them on our way to the Death Egg. Let's get up there and go. And he zips up the hole. He turns into a ball of light and zips up into the hole because he's going so fast. And Knuckles starts climbing up it with the spikes that are, for some reason, in his knuckles. And the two of you stay in the underground passage forever.
No, we'll follow through.
Yeah. Just sorry, my connection here is not the best.
Okay. So it looks like you all need to make your way to the Death Egg, or at least you need to help Sonic and Knuckles get in there. So there's Badniks flying around in the sky. Tails is up there. Sonic looks up and says, "Oh no, Tails is in trouble!" And he tries to run up a tree and jump into the sky, but it doesn't work. He just lands flat on his face on the ground again. You see some rings fall out of him.
Oh,
that's rough.
Here, let me help you. Sorry. Oh, this is hard for me to not laugh. So like
you're allowed to laugh.
I know, but it's so unprofessional. Vivi tries to grab the rings and like give them back to Sonic.
Every time you touch a ring, it
it
disintegrates. It disappears. And you hear a little ping, ping, and see a counter above your head appear.
Oh, the best sound effect. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep on gushing while we're here. But anyway.
I would like to dive deeply and maybe try to figure out a way up.
Okay, give it a shot.
And you know what? I might use my my bond with Vivi because he seems to be very excited to be around these weird animals for some reason.
Okay.
Damn. All right.
666. Spooky. All right, so that's a 14. So you can ask me those questions. 3 of those questions.
I will ask all the questions. Okay. What is the best way out of this situation?
The best way out of the situation, as far as you can tell, is to find a way to get Sonic and Knuckles to the Death Egg. So that seems to be the way to end this game and then allow it to take you to the next system.
What here could we use to get up to the Death Egg?
A couple of things. There's an airplane flying around in the sky with someone you know in it, so you could maybe try to call it down. Or you can try to get up there by jumping on a bunch of pillars that you can see off in the distance that might allow you to leap, if you can leap really high, onto the Death Egg. Alternately, you could maybe turn one of these trees into a catapult. There's a bunch of different ways you could get up there. None of them are easy.
Okay. And since I already know what the biggest threat is, what here is not as it seems?
What here is not as it seems. I don't think there's really anything here that's hidden. This is a pretty straightforward game in which you find yourselves. Like, there aren't a lot of secrets or anything like that. You can probably figure out that if you pick up those rings, they'll help to protect you from being defeated immediately. There's some TV things you see scattered about that have pictures on them that are probably some type of power up.
All right.
But it's a pretty intuitive game you find yourself in.
How many? Oh, how many chaos? Oh, I'm trying to figure out how to frame this question. Does it how like? Do we know how many Chaos Emeralds Sonic has at the time? Like right now.
He showed you the ones that he has. Let me just see here. How many? So there are 7 in total, right?
Yes.
No, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so there are 7 in total Chaos Emeralds. I would say that they are only short 1 at this time. There's just 1 missing.
Do I have enough knowledge from being somewhat familiar with this world? I need enough rings to get to the special stage so he can become supersonic and more easily beat the Death Egg.
So you've played this game on your magic book at least. So
I know the story of this game.
You know the story of this game. Did you ever beat it, do you think?
I think that given the nature of what Final Fantasy IX is just a story.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a game that he has played. It is a storybook. Oh, and then this happened, and then this happened.
Did you finish reading the story then?
We're gonna go with yes.
Okay, so then you know. I guess, did the book have the true ending, or what ending did the book have?
I don't know. I don't know which ending it would be.
Okay. Well,
Maybe we should
you
like
are
roll a die.
aware you are aware that they need Chaos Emeralds. They need all the Chaos Emeralds. Right now they have 6. They need 7. There's a secret one that you've read about, but you don't know if that's necessary for them to complete the game.
Okay. Should I try to deep dive to figure out if it is necessary?
I think you know that that's
Or
how the game has to be beaten.
oh, and that
That you know how that's how the story goes, so you have to assume that's what needs to
yeah.
happen.
Okay. All right, guys. So I think we need to get Sonic to go to the special place where he can get the last Chaos Emerald so he can beat the evil mad scientist.
Where
Yeah,
is the special place?
Oh gosh, I'm mixing up my Sonic game. So I'm like, do you collect 50? Do you collect a bunch of rings? I know it's get blue spheres in this. Dun 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 dun. Sorry, let me check.
I think the last one is the light blue emerald. Is that the final one?
I mean, you can refer to them as any color whatsoever. I mean, you can technically get them out of order. Um, okay. What's this? People might be saying, and you call yourself a Sonic fan. I'm sorry. I watched people play it. Okay, so okay, so you need to find the super ring to hop. Ah, sorry, I just started to get a terrible ad that was really loud.
Is the
Okay.
super ring the ring to rule them all?
No, it's just a gigantic ring that you find in like a hidden area.
Okay. So everybody starts to spread out and look for this giant ring. Um, I think Sonic is still trying to get Tails' attention, but can't quite do it because Tails is too high up in the sky and Sonic can't jump up there. Tails is very busy with the badniks at the moment. The way this story is supposed to go, Tails wouldn't be here for this part and they'd still be underground. But if you can find this giant ring, then maybe you can skip ahead and get them onto what you know the ending of this game to be. So you start looking around, and let's see if we can find this giant ring. Or rather, we should say, who do you think finds the giant ring?
Wait for Vivi to find it.
I guess Vivi might find it.
Okay. Vivi, you find a giant ring. And let's see, before you can call Sonic over, I think Frisket, because you have a Dark Link with him, runs up behind you and, not planning to really harm you or anything, just kind of bumps you, and you end up falling into the giant ring yourself.
Oh no.
Vivi, you are now in the special bonus stage. Let's see how you do here. I think you need to push through stress. And this would be... What type of roll should this be? To push through stress with... I would say this would be push through stress with light.
Okay, which
So
is
you
0.
roll plus your light links with push through stress. So the number of light links you
Oh.
have is what you add to it.
Oh, okay. I have 2.
Yeah. Your goal is to collect all the glowing blue things to get the Chaos Emerald.
And avoid the red orbs.
Yeah, can't get those red orbs. And of course, you can spend one of your links if you want to roll with advantage.
Ooh. I think I actually might spend my light link with Captain Capacitor.
Okay. So remove that from your list and then roll 3d6 plus 2. Okay. So
Ooh.
4 plus 5, 9 plus 2, 11. All right. So, push through stress. On a 10 plus, pick 2. Succeed at what you were attempting. Take plus 1 forward. Ask a question about this scene. Gain an advantageous position.
I think obviously accomplish.
Succeed at what you were attempting.
Yes, yes. So Vivi gets the last Chaos Emerald. Yay!
You do
And I'm
it!
gonna, yeah, I'm gonna have one forward.
Okay. You tumble out of there with the final light blue Chaos Emerald. And as you land on the ground, you find that you are Sonic and Knuckles and the others are around you. And there's one more shudder and boom on the ground as the the death egg, continues its assault. And Sonic and Knuckles and everyone else goes, "Whoa!" and falls on their bum. And the Chaos Emeralds they were holding go flying up into the air. And they all land on you. And you transform. What does Hyper
uh,
Black Cat Vivi look like?
okay. The precedent is that Blaze was able to, and she turned red. Um, but according to the trance system in Final Fantasy IX, we can go that kind of Hyper Vivi turns like this silvery blue color.
Mm-hmm.
And the hat that he's still wearing sticks straight up.
Right.
And he's glowing, and his eyes are no longer glowing yellow, but like this bright white. And he just looks like putting off this aura of power.
I think Sonic and Knuckles look at you and gasp. And Matrix says, "What's happening?" And Frissic goes, "Ruff!" What does Franziska think of this transformation?
Francisca's seen a ton of weird stuff today, so she kind of just looks at it like, of course he would do that.
Vivi, you instinctually know that you can fly, and that you're very fast and very strong, and that your magic is more powerful than ever. It feels kind of like being in the trance state, but even more so. Plus the flying.
Ooh. Yeah, I like the flying part. Oh gosh. Fan artists, please. Someone find this do this for me.
Hyper Black Cat Vivi.
I know. It's so great. Okay. Um, I guess Vivi is going to try to pick people up and fly them to Tails so we
Okay.
can start our assault upon the Death Egg.
As soon as you think that, it happens. Everybody is lifted off the ground along with you, and you jet into the sky at fantastic speed. As you approach Tails, the badniks surrounding the tornado just kind of explode in your mere presence. And Tails looks over at you and says, "What the? Vivi?"
Hi!
And Sonic says, "No time to explain, Tails. We've got to go. Fast!"
As strains of rock and roll play. I know this is before the rock and roll started, but come on.
Doesn't matter. It can be rock and roll if you want it to be. Okay, pulling the tornado along with you at your superhuman speeds, and along with everyone else sort of floating in your wake, what do you do now?
Um, I'm pretty sure that you go into the death egg and then try to fight.
Yeah, I mean that's what
Yeah.
Sonic and Knuckles would do. What does Hyper Black Cat Vivi with godlike magical powers do?
um. Honestly, what pops into my head is tries to go inside and find a self-destruct button.
Okay. You blast through one of the death egg's eyes, just blast through it like it's not even there, and you find yourself on the inside of the death egg. There's ominous music playing. Sonic and Knuckles land on the ground and they say, Sonic says, I'm going to go check things out. And Knuckles starts punching through walls. Tails is flying around outside, keeping people distracted. Matrix lands along with Andrea and Frisket, and they just kind of shrug at each other like, I guess if this is how the game goes. Did you want to form any links with Sonic, Knuckles, or Tails, either of you?
Please. Please, yes.
Okay, so tell me who you want to form links with and what type of
Well,
links.
I already have a link with Tails.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to form a heart link with Sonic because, as I mentioned, he reminds Vivi very much of his good friend Zidane.
Okay, so give that a roll.
I'm just double checking. Heart is. I don't have heart, do I? Or do I not? I have one. Sorry.
You have one in heart, yes.
I keep on getting dark and light and heart mixed up.
It takes some time to learn all these things. Okay, you got an 8. So you form a heart link with Sonic, but your link move does not go off. And did you say you wanted to form a link with Knuckles?
Sure.
Okay, what type of link would you like to form with Knuckles?
Part of me wants to say a dark link because he reminds Vivi of Armorant, but
Then go for it.
hold on 1 second.
Have you got any links you want to make, Franziska?
I think I'll make one with Sonic.
Sure.
Or rather, Sonic. I think I'm gonna go for a heart bond. I respect Sonic's single-mindedness.
Okay. So go ahead and roll your heart bond with Sonic. And you rolling a dark bond with Knuckles there? Vivi?
I'm typing it in as we speak.
Okay. You do it, and your link move triggers, which says, when you make a link, all locked links reactivate. You haven't spent any locked links, so nothing happens. But you get your dark link with Knuckles.
Okay, yeah.
I do, or
Wait. Oh, that was Keeker's.
yeah.
You rolled a 6.
Yeah, I rolled a 6, and
okay, let me see.
Velvet rolled a 10.
Right, so you get your heart link with Sonic. Dark link with Knuckles. Okay, I think. Let me think. Instead, as you are watching Knuckles punch through the walls and you're thinking, oh, he reminds me of Amaranth, He's red, he's punching things, he's cranky, but at the same time, that starts to make you think, what would it be like if I were more cranky and punched things more? And you form a mastery link with Knuckles,
Oh, no.
thinking, oh, I kind of want to be like that. Okay. And
If I may,
yes.
sorry, I think I will also try to roll a heart link with Knuckles because I appreciate that he also resorts to punching.
Okay. You can give that a try. And, okay. Move as hard as you want. You do that. And what is your link move? Let's see. When you make a link and are surprised with your connection with someone else, you get +1 forward to deep dive or defend them.
Nice.
All right. And I think you find yourself feeling a strange connection with Knuckles as well, thinking like maybe a little bit of even, let's see, disdain for Tails. You're looking out there, Tails is just flying back and forth, and it's like, what is he even accomplishing here? What is Tails' purpose in this whole thing? Everyone else is doing something. And I think you form, without meaning to, a dark link with Tails. That's a result of Keekers' role there.
I just want to say that Tails is a child.
Yeah. Franziska is also very young.
Yeah, Franziska is pretty young.
Yeah. How old is she? Like, she's 18 when she shows up. So.
Well, she gets her she passes the bar at 13. So to her, but they were a child probably doesn't wash as an excuse.
No, I guess that's true.
Okay. And so you have that mastery link with Knuckles. Vivi, don't forget to fill that in.
I put in the mastery link with Knuckles?
It just says Knuckles and then it's blank. For me.
Oh.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to click off, I guess.
Yeah.
So as everyone is going around looking for the self-destruct thing, all of a sudden, who should arrive on an elevator except for Dr. Robotnik himself? And he is piloting a giant egg-shaped robot. Which technically isn't this game, but whatever. Let's have a giant robot fight. Oh wait, Great Eggman Robo.
Yeah, they're pretty much in every single Sonic game. So
mm-hmm. It is. But I think this one is powered by the Master Emerald. And you're battling aboard the Death Egg. This is the Angel Island incident happening that you're a part of here now. And Sonic is out there looking for the self-destruct. And this gargantuan Great Eggman Robo erupts through the floor in front of you. It's got, 2 robotic eyes, a domed head, an orange bulbous nose on it. Its body is just this red carapace studded in cannons. It's got these big 3-fingered hands that clasp onto the edge of the floor as it attempts to it starts firing rockets at you and trying to crush you.
Can I try to do a Dr. Robotnik voice for a second?
Sir.
Get a load of this.
Looks correct. Sounds correct to me.
I think this is a smashing time.
It may well be. And I think you have +1 forward on your rolls because you are helping Tails here. Also, yes. You are Hyper Black Cat Vivi.
Yes. Oh. So, I'm gonna strike with intent. Wait. Yes, I'm gonna strike with intent to destroy the robot. The robot.
Okay. You see Matrix and Andrea start, dodging around. Matrix is throwing those decals from gun onto different parts of Eggman and firing, but Gun doesn't seem to be doing anything because that's not how these games work. This isn't Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, did I mention that I briefly thought about being Shadow, and then I was like, mm,
Would have been great
I'm the
friends with Matrix.
coolest. Okay, so when you have a forward, it's just another plus on your 2d6?
Yeah. Just add it to whatever your other bonuses are there.
Yeah. What? Oh, I didn't do slash. Sorry.
No, I think you had a space between 2 and D6.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. And what is your dark is +1, and you have another +1 forward. Okay, so +2. Good. Do you want to spend any of your links on this so that you can roll with advantage?
Oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah, I should spend link with
You're smashing here, right? Which is something that you've
yeah,
just learned that you want to do from somebody.
yeah, so I will spend the Knuckles one and
Sounds
do
good.
the smash. So that's 3d6 now.
+2.
Okay.
Okay, so you've gotten a 12 there. Good. So, with Strike with Intent, you can defend yourself from harm, deal great harm, or take control of the situation.
Oh, sorry. I was pressing the wrong button. I will do great harm and take control of the situation.
Okay. So I think what happens here is that Eggman is expecting this to be the standard type of battle that he has with Sonic, where he moves slowly and Sonic moves quickly, but if Sonic gets hit, he's boned and all that. Instead, he's faced with a powerful wizard, which he doesn't know what that is. He's never faced a wizard before. And Vivi does stuff with lightning. And your lightning is just so powerful now that you're hypercharged up that the entire robot is just completely shut down immediately when you first strike. Like he's like, try this on for some what? As you just completely just destroy this immediately. And he's fired out in his ejection pod, and the robot starts to spark and explode, and Sonic runs back and says, I guess we don't need the self-destruct. Now, we need to get ourselves out of here, fast! As the death egg begins to explode from the pressure of the great Eggman Robo being destroyed within it. So now you all need to get out of here. Franziska, you didn't get to do anything during that battle because Vivi handled it in a second. But can you help us get out of here? As the power of Hyper Black Cat Vivi starts to fade away.
I will try my door move again.
He's running out of rings.
Okay. Let's give that door move a try.
I will use my Dark Bond with Tails to roll, because they are just such a foolishly foolish fool that I don't want to see their face anymore.
Wish we all had an airplane.
He's like 6 or something at this point, and like he built his own airplane.
What are Tails' years? There's got to be a multiplier.
All right,
probably older than me.
You've rolled a 12. On a 10 plus, the opening is directly advantageous to your goal. Okay, I think you leap out and you can probably just snag Tails' biplane with your whip, right?
Yeah, just make like a big long person chain.
Yeah. This is a cartoon game. People don't weigh anything here.
What is gravity?
Who knows? Who cares?
I want to make a tiny point that this is canon in Sonic Heroes. They make long chains, and like you have a
yeah,
bee
that's how you fly around.
Yeah, you have You have a bee carrying an alligator and whatever the heck.
He was a
Oh
chameleon, I
my,
think.
yeah, chameleon. Yeah. Around, there's also a tiny rabbit carrying around Big the cat, who's like 300 pounds.
I love that game.
So,
Oh, I'm so glad that
uh,
you played Sonic Heroes.
the biplane flies away with all of you dangling from it, and you land safely. And as you say your farewells to Sonic and Knuckles and Tails, you hear that same announcer voice saying, "Game over. Players, or no, sorry, game over. Sprites win." And the world begins to fade around you, and Matrix says, "Quickly, tap your badge again." And he does so, and the symbol changes to a triangle on his. And Andrea does so as well, and then leans down to tap Friskets and says, "Let's go."
I guess I tap my button.
Okay.
Tap the badge.
That reformats you as sprites in this game, and so you are carried away to the next system. Um, and you land there. A few days pass before another game comes, and again, you have to rush into it. And warning, incoming game comes out of the sky. Let me see here. All right. So you all run into the game, I guess, unless you've chosen you're not going to, because this system doesn't have the connection you need to the net. You got to keep trying.
Yeah, gotta keep trying.
Yeah, I mean, what if it's another game
Mm-hmm.
that has Vivi in it? You know?
You never know. Okay, so you run into the game, and the game world begins to resolve around you once again.
You know, I think he would. I think he would be happy in one of the like 10 remakes of Final Fantasy IV. They have black mages.
Yeah, they do. Okay, so you end up in the game world is resolving around you, and you find yourselves in a stark white chamber, I suppose you should say. Everything in here is white except for three different beams of light that are, well, two beams of light are on either side of this huge dome in the middle. One is green and one is red. And let's see here. When you are there, you see that there is a person wearing this blackened, charred armor over his body, and he is wearing sorry, he is wearing this armor over his body. He's got short cut hair and a mustache on his face. He looks spent. He looks exhausted, like he couldn't possibly take another step. And in front of him is a child, a hologram. They seem to be having some
Oh,
type of intense conversation.
oh, I know what game this is.
When you reboot, what do you look like in the world of Mass Effect 3?
Oh my gosh.
Vivi is totally like a Quarian child.
Fitting.
Absolutely.
In like blue armor, I should mention
Yeah.
that it is blue.
Yeah. What does Francisco look like here?
I would think probably like an Asari matriarch with a biotic whip.
Okay.
Well, wouldn't she not be a matriarch since she's young?
Oh, that's true.
Wouldn't
She
she
is a
be like,
child,
yeah, she would be,
a very young Asari.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, however old Liara is, how old is she?
Yeah,
That
the other is
much?
like
Yeah.
103.
Yeah. So technically adult, but still young for by Asari standards.
You hear the man say, let me see what he says here. I gotta grab the script. What do you
Game
know
over,
about
man. Game over.
What do you know about the Crucible? The child says. The device you refer to as the Crucible is little more than a power source. There's this big pillar of white light going through this dome in the middle. However, in combination with the Citadel and the relays, it is capable of releasing tremendous amounts of energy throughout the galaxy. You can see outside the windows there's a massive space battle taking place, explosions everywhere. It is
Wait,
crude but effective and adaptive in its design.
really quick question. Would Vivi actually technically maybe actually be a Geth?
If you want to be a Geth, you can be a Geth.
No, see, the problem is that I'm trying to figure it out because aesthetically he looks more like a Quarian, but Geth is a created being, and that is what Vivi is.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure this out. You make the decision.
So Matrix is, uh, he has rebooted and he's like a Vorcha for some reason. He doesn't know why.
Uh,
Andrea has rebooted and now she's just a human. And the dog has rebooted into a Turian and he looks very disconcerted by being on two legs. And every time he opens his mouth, he just goes, Arf! But with that Turian voice effect.
Oh, the flagging.
Yep.
sounds like he
Um,
needs some calibrations.
Mm-hmm.
chat. Does chat want to chime in if they think Vivi should be a Quarian or a Geth? And if you guys said something a minute ago, say it again because I just reloaded.
Nobody has said anything.
Uh,
Okay.
I was hoping for some listener input.
So the man in the blasted armor says, Who built the Citadel? Child says, You would not know them, and there's not enough time to explain. There's a whole philosophical conversation going on, and as it turns out, the upshot is that whoever built the Citadel has been forcing life to evolve along certain lines and then killing them when they get there so that they don't, you know, uh, cause issues by creating artificial intelligence that was too evolved and that they can't coexist with because it can't possibly coexist. And the child is offering this armored man two options. You can destroy all artificial life, or you can, you know, force everything to be. What was the other option they had?
It was control, synthesis,
Right.
and
Destruction.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he only offers them the you destroy everything, or the other one that he offers is you can take control of them and they'll no longer be independent. They'll do whatever you want. And the commander
So,
is having a difficult time with this decision because it seems to be he seems like debate is not his strong suit, and this decision seems like it's going to affect a whole lot of people. But every moment that he hesitates, more and more people are dying outside the window, and it's almost as if a lawyer would be the right person to make this kind of decision.
oh my god.
I just have to ask: is this like the vanilla male shepherd with like the cropped brown hair and
No, this is the
whatever.
one from my game.
Oh, Arputon or Iago.
No, not the evil one. The engineer.
Okay.
And this Commander Shepard, he looks really confused. He's like, "How can I make this decision for everyone? I shouldn't be the one." And he's looking around, and he sees 5 people who have suddenly appeared, and he says, "Options. Give me options, whoever you are."
On my world, we had the other people integrate, and Vivi's at a loss of how to explain the genomes.
He squints at you. He says, "I've never heard of that. What about you?" He says, turning to Matrix. And Matrix opens his mouth to say something, but all that comes out is, so she know. Andrea giggles as well. "Oh, I know. Turians are always level-headed. You could help me out with this one, couldn't you?" Ruff! Ruff! He just shakes his head. Am I dreaming? Am I hallucinating?
Are you indoctrinated?
A million fans crying, "It's the only logical explanation!" Well, that leaves one person who might be able to help Commander Shepard in his time of need. Can you debate this child, Francisca?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. It'll be like a junior spelling bee. Just 2 children arguing. I wanted to ask, since I didn't already use my one move that I'm allowed to use once,
Yep.
can I use it here?
I mean, yes. You can use it once.
All right, since this counts as a battle of words. I mean, if we got to hear their whole discussion,
Yeah,
I guess I'll ask
you've heard the whole thing.
the whole thing. What will happen if I suggest that by taking control, Shepard or whomever can, ensure that these situations that cause the need for like the Reaper contingency don't come to pass if he acts like an intergalactic police force, the Reaper Lanterns.
He looks at you and says, "But artificial intelligence is a lot like organic life. One of those defining characteristics of life is that we think for ourselves, we make our own choices. If you take that away from us, then we might as well be machines, just like this child."
Vivi looks and is kind of like, I know, I know what it's like not having your own decisions, and it's terrible.
Shepard nods. "I think if you want to, you're going to have to try and convince this child of something. Maybe you can convince the child that the choices that he's offered aren't good enough. It's up to you. You're in control of this scene, the two of you. You have crashed this party. You may do as you wish here."
I think Vivi is going to slowly like realize after hearing that spiel, and he realizes that it's like, oh, I am what they are talking about in a sense is an inorganic being.
I call Vivi as my
And
first witness.
you have to cross-examine him. And
What are you going to do? You call Vivi up. What are you saying? What are you doing? What's the option?
If you're born or created, it doesn't matter. It's all equal life. He says and agrees at what he's saying. He agrees with himself, but basically, what he has learned on his journey, that life is a bunch of lessons, and that the point is to be a good person and help people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to condense down a lot of the life lessons in Final Fantasy IX.
So you're contributing your experiences, your lived experiences, having completed your
Yes.
entire journey to this discussion.
Yeah.
Shepard nods and says, "It's good input. I still don't know what the right choice is here. I feel like there's got to be a way, almost a way to do it the way that you did, but a way to protect people at the same time."
I think I'll address the child and just say, surely someone who's lived or been around at least as long as you have has learned that things are never quite so black and white, and these two very drastic choices don't really seem to reflect that understanding. Surely there's other options.
The options I have presented are the ones that we have made available. In each cycle, these are the options that are presented, and in each cycle, these are the options from which are chosen the solutions.
But if you keep on doing things the same way, you'll never get anything new. It will just keep on repeating and never end.
It may continue and repeat in the same way, but it does mean that life will be able to continue.
But it won't be able to grow.
All things grow in their allotted time, and when that time ends before it can be destroyed, we must harvest. You might need to make some rolls.
Yeah. Uh, oh, convince someone you do with heart. Just so we know. Which I have a +1 on. What do you have for heart?
I have two.
Yeah, you should do the convincing Ms. Lawyer.
I know I'm trying to figure out what to convince them of.
Hmm.
Yeah, you threw me for a loop because I always thought the control ending was just for the Reapers, not all the AIs.
Let's see.
I mean, you could always use your link with Vivi. Oh wait, no, you already used it.
It's okay. I have a couple links. We're good.
Yeah, control is you control the Reapers. The Shepherd may not completely understand that, but
Ah, gotcha. Okay, I think I got it.
okay.
Uh, do you want me to just place my argument before?
Yeah, make your argument, and then we'll do a roll and see how it goes.
From what we've overheard, there's been many, many cycles, and you've essentially done the same thing for all of them. Now, where I'm from, that lack of foresight and continued inflexibility to solve a problem sort of makes you unqualified to continue addressing the problem. And given that you are incapable of suggesting any alternatives and incapable of addressing the problem successfully, it stands to reason that you should let someone else dictate the course.
Then who? The child turns. This one? Shepard says. But how do I know if I become like them, an artificial intelligence like them? Won't I simply make the same choices they've made? Won't I make the same mistakes?
Throughout their whole discussion, did we hear about at least this good doodle Shepard's choices?
No. But you could maybe do a deep dive or something to try and figure out what kind of person he is.
Yes, I think I will try the deep dive first and see if I can get a sense of
He's not.
what this Shepard's all.
He doesn't have the glowing red eyes and massive scars.
He doesn't look evil.
Because you can pay to get those fixed at the med bay.
You
Not that I've
can.
done it, but
One of my favorite, other playthroughs, they like reveled in the scars, and I will always have a special place in my heart for Space Duck.
Okay, you've got 10 you've rolled there. So you can ask 3 of the questions.
okay. So can I use what was done here recently to kind of get a history of what the Shepard's done?
Yeah, sure. So you see, looking at this shepherd, you can sort of see in his eyes and the way he carries himself a man who is, if not humble, one who does not see himself as a great leader or great uniter, despite the fact that he has done all of these things. He has managed to find a compromise in situations that seemed impossible. He has managed to uh, turn the tide towards the better when all seemed lost. He is a man who seems to fundamentally have the good of all top of mind in the actions that he takes.
Choice. And then I guess what here could I use to convince the Shepherd? I guess maybe just reference the actions he's already taken.
You can reference the actions he's already taken. Sorry, you became an Asari, right? Or was it?
Yeah.
Okay. You can feel that there are powers within you, or that he might recognize your authority as being something greater than his in a lot of ways in terms of morality. You could use your appearance, not, looking good or looking bad, but the appearance of being this type of alien he respects, or you could use the history that he's had, or both.
I just want to insert a tiny Disney thing, since this is the Kingdom Hearts game. Perfect the Pure Paragon.
Perfect. And so I guess what is the best out of the situation? I guess just maybe in terms of convincing him, but I guess that's kind of the same question as what could I.
Yeah, the best way out of this situation is to convince him to take any of these choices. As far as you can tell, any choice will end the game and take you to where you need to go. So you just need to nudge him in the right direction, whatever direction you think that is.
All right. So I think I'll just reference what he's done. I'll point outside and just say, that's quite a motley assortment of different folks. Given that you're standing at the apex, I assume you're responsible for bringing them all together.
I don't know about that. I tried my best.
I'm sure you did. And the fact that you're so reticent to accept this responsibility, dare I say, power, where a lot of other people would probably quite literally kill for it, makes me think that you're probably the best one to have it, since you seem to understand its weight. You mentioned being concerned that you would fall along the same paths, but unlike these machines that have just sorted everything into an almost arbitrary and very cold system, you seem to be very considerate and understanding in your choices. And something that has not been accounted for in this plan, and that the machine would certainly not account for, is for a cognizant and compassionate peacekeeper.
Okay. Um, let's give it a try. Let's do your roll. Now you have assisted Vivi. Do you want to do the assist move?
Yes, but
It's called Limit Break. When you help out your friends or create an opportunity for them, roll with light.
I don't have a light. I have a 0 light, so I'll just 2d6.
That's the
You
one.
can always burn a link for advantage.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. For limit breaking.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out which link to burn here. I was just looking. The first thing I'm like, frisk it? No.
You can if you want.
I think heart Sonic with the heart link, because as mentioned before, Sonic reminds him of Zidane. The Zidane. Zidane. And he thinks like, what would they do in this? How can I assist?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so roll plus 3D, just roll 3d6. Okay,
Ooh.
so you got a 9. And what that means is you give the +1 forward, but it costs you. You either have to spend another link or take harm. I think in this case, spending a link makes more sense than taking harm because nothing is physically threatening you.
Okay, so I lose the Sonic link, and then I
Mm-hmm.
lose one of my other links. Is that what?
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Okay. Which link?
Perhaps you feel like in this moment you are no longer a student of a guy who the
Ooh.
best he could manage was "Ah!"
Yeah. I'll burn that one. You're right.
Okay. So, Franziska, you've got +1 from Vivi's assistance and her talking, him talking about his experiences as, a character in a game and the way that he grew and how his world dealt with the synthesis of those different beings. You've made your impassioned plea to Shepard. Now is the time to see if that will take hold. Okay.
Hey, 12.
Okay. You got yourself a 12. So Shepard looks up at you, and you see a complex mix of emotions in his eyes. There's a feeling of loss and a feeling of gratitude at the same time, as if this is something that he feared but knew that he should do, and you have helped to convince him of that. And he drags himself to his feet and he says, "Thank you. I know what I have to do." And he agonizingly limps his way towards the central corridor into this pillar of light, and you watch as he grabs first one capacitor and then another. His body is burned away, leaving behind a metallic husk which tumbles into this beam of light before everything explodes in a gigantic pulse of energy that races outwards from the citadel. The battle stops outside immediately. One of the gigantic lobster creatures that you guess is probably one of these reapers stops entirely, and you see and feel a new power take hold of this place. And the voice says, "Game over." And the game world begins to dissipate around you. Did either of you want to roll a link with Shepard before you leave?
Well, I was thinking Dark Link with that kid.
Okay, you can do that with the Crucible.
Because, yeah.
Is it Crucible or Citadel? I can't remember what his name is.
I think Crucible. Yeah, because I think the Citadel is the building,
Oh,
but
Catalyst.
he's the Crucible.
Sorry, it's Catalyst.
Catalyst, that's what it was.
Oh, can I just call him Jerk Kid?
Whatever you want. Catalyst is the name that it has. Okay, you rolled a 7. So you form your Dark Link with Catalyst, but your Link move does not go off. As you reformat yourselves again into the Citadel format, you see that the game is beginning to disintegrate around you, just as one of the Leviathans, which looks like a Reaper but not mechanical, floats overhead. It looks like it had been taking part in the battle. The game is drawing you up in the air, but this Leviathan seems to look down with a great presence, and instead of traveling with this game to another system, you find yourselves caught in a swirling vortex, as if this thing's attention was enough to knock you out of where you're supposed to be. After the swirling vortex settles, all of you have been flung into separate directions. Matrix and Andrea and Frisket are no longer with Vivi and Francisca, but the two of you find yourselves once more on the hull of a ship. Not on the hull of a ship, on the deck of a ship. Looking up from the deck of the ship, you see this one is slightly better rendered. It's also a wooden ship, and it seems to be, you can't tell, but you're guessing maybe this one's flying in the sky as opposed to in space.
Flying ship?
A flying ship, something with which Vivi would be very familiar. And this ship is it's green and red. It's got sails on the top of it that you can see, but they seem to be fluttering upwards. There's 3 sails ahead of you, and one of the sails is again flying a flag, but it's not a flag that you recognize. It's a flag of a hand grasping a fish. And looming over you, all of a sudden, you see an old man. He has an eye patch. He's got white hair pulled back into a ponytail and a bushy white beard. He looks severe. He's wearing a green tunic, and one of his arms has been replaced by a huge bronze mechanical. And he looks down at you and says, "Where'd you come from? No, never mind, there's no time. On your feet. It's here." And as you get to your feet and stand, a great creature rises up beside this little ship. The creature is massive, far larger than this ship ever was. It is some type of whale, and it is a big purple whale.
I'm lost again. I don't know what game this is.
You'll find out. This big purple whale is flying up in the sky. It is surrounded by mists, and it has red eyes and almost a pattern of yellow, not scarification, but like yellow flesh beneath these purple plates that make up its outer hull. It looms over the ship, and it looks like it's prepared to strike. And this man says, "Rackham, I've finally got you. This is for my son. He fires a harpoon into the side of the whale, and as the whale drags you and the ship off, we're going to come to an end of our story today, because we've reached the end of our time.
Yeah, I have to Google Rachnum now.
Yes, so you're being dragged along on this ship, but we're going to fade to black there in the middle of this actiony scene from Skies of Arcadia.
Oh, you
Your,
said that just as the thing came up.
your journey will continue someday, perhaps.
Oh, thank you so much, Arp. It was fun.
Thank you. I love this
You're
game.
very welcome. Yeah, it's a great game. Lots of fun. What's up? Kickers, are you okay?
Sorry, I wasn't pressing it down. I was freaked out because it was the same dang ad again that was playing.
That evil
As last
advertisement.
time, it was Revlon of all things, but it's loud and
Loud and obnoxious. All right, well, thank you to the two of you for joining me for Interstitial Mainframe. I'm glad you had a good time. I did as well.
Yeah, it was great.
We are, as a reminder, continuing to raise money for the BC Children's Hospital Foundation through Extra Life. Anyone out there listening can donate until the end of the year, until the end of December 2019. Continuing to raise money for the BC Children's. You can donate by going to bit.ly/ycaliber2019. Currently, we're at $631 of our $1,000 goal. Hopefully we'll make it all the way by the end of next Saturday, which will be the end of my Extra Life streams. But if not, we've already raised a great deal thanks to our donors, Sybil Adela, an anonymous donor, Wes, and Matt. So thank you to all of our donors. Thank you to Velvet, who you can find on Twitter at OGBrownSugar, and Keekers, who you can find on Twitter at BeASpaceCat. I'll see you all again next week.
Bye, everyone.
Space Squids.
Space Squids, yes.
All right, and thank you to those of you who have been watching the stream. I will see you again next Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Until then, all the best.